Only a couple more days and I don't have to listen to Joe Biden's name, his filthy, awful name, day in, day out. And for many of you, you may know that that's personal, since I used to work for him. And in 1993, he sexually harassed and assaulted me. And when I went for help, I didn't get it. When I went to make a report in the Senate, nothing happened. I've never had justice. There's never been a proper investigation. And in 2019 and in 2020, when I came forward, Joe Biden unleashed his machine, his political machine, using the New York Times, Washington Post, and media to come after me. I even had celebrities who had never met me come after me. Like, I remember the most vicious ones were Deborah Messing and Patricia Arquette. Just awful, just relentless bullies online and telling lies about me, and they didn't know me, but they were simply trying to protect Joe Biden. They were doing their marching orders. And Joe Biden used Hollywood, he used the media, he weaponized the DOJ against not just me, but other Americans as well, and political opponents. I told the truth, and it was a very lonely time. You know, I'm just a regular person. I didn't have the resources to protect myself, or a PR team, or a team of lawyers, or money. I was wiped out financially. I lost everything, and I mean everything, even my housing, everything. It was awful, but I did tell the truth. And I had told my mother when it happened. My mother died several years ago, but one of the things that she took it upon herself to do in 1993 was to call into the Larry King Show. Now, I didn't know she did this until later, but I told reporters that there was a recording of my mother calling into the Larry King Show to talk about how I had no one to help me, and I wanted to come forward with something that happened. Well, a young grad student finally found that recording from CNN. They had tried to actually hide it, even took it down from places, but she found it and she gave it to two investigative reporters, Ryan Grimm and Rich McHugh, who both aired it. Rich McHugh went on to talk with Tucker Carlson and to put it on different networks. That was my mother. So what I can tell you is that I guess that was my mystical experience, if you will, of how my mother, even though she was dead, reached through time and space as only a mother's love can, particularly my mom, who's very feisty, and let me know she was there and she was standing with me and she knew I told the truth. And it meant so much to me in that moment. It probably saved me in many ways because I was falling apart. You know, I didn't know who to turn to. Even members of my own family were rejecting me. Friends didn't want anything to do with me because they were scared. They were scared of what the Biden administration would do to them. I couldn't get work. I didn't have a place to live. It was a very harrowing time. But then when my mother's voicemail came to light publicly, it was another piece of evidence to corroborate my story. Of course, the mainstream media, dismissed it. But for me, it meant so much to have her reach through time and space. And what it taught me about telling the truth and about God's love is that God's love is here with us and that nothing can prevent that. I mean, even time or space. And it brought me closer to her memory, closer to her for just a moment in time. I could feel my mom all around me. It made me strong, and to be able to stand with resoluteness as I told the truth that Joe Biden was very corrupt, that he would start a war with Russia. I told that in an interview in 2019, and he did. That the conflict in Ukraine in 2022, I talked about how it was wrong, that our taxpayer money shouldn't go there. I stood up for the way Russia was being demonized, and I ended up coming to Moscow, Russia, and getting sanctuary when Biden weaponized the DOJ against me. And people like Maria Butina, Margarita Simenon of RT stood by me, even though they didn't know me from, they didn't know anything about me, but they believed I was telling the truth. They also knew that my life was in danger and that Biden would stop at nothing to silence me. Well, all of that is over now. And as I look back on it, I guess what's interesting to me is that even though I won't get justice, I got to hear my mother's voice and got to know her love again. So sometimes what it tells me is that even in the hardest circumstances, tell the truth. You might not get justice, but you will get grace.
San Luis Obispo, California. Hello.
Yes, hello. I'm wondering what a staffer would do besides go to the press in Washington. My daughter has just left there after working for a prominent senator and could not get through with her problems at all. And the only thing she could have done was go to the press, and she chose not to do it out of respect for him.
Or she had a story to tell, but out of respect for the person she worked for, she didn't tell it.
That's true.